The Morning Dish.
He's the hardest working man in show business. His band's music takes you into the midnight hours. And when you wake up, his voice is back on your radio alarm clock. How on earth did this happen?
Well, Jeff saw me taking out the trash at the radio station.
And he won another award.
But this one is better.
I'm your boogeyman. That's what I am.
It's The Morning Dish with the 2019 Radio Personality of the Year winner, Stephen Phillips.
You paying attention to this, Packy?
And Murphy's own Sherry Raines.
Yeah, you must have given horseback passes to the right guy, Stephen.
Well, giddy up.
And Packy Smith's Shetland pony is right alongside.
You guys know these demo tapes don't just edit themselves together, right?
Well, all right.
3 cheers for Stephen Phillips.
Y'all need to help Stephen Phillips out over there. Out the door and off the radio.
Here's Stephen Phillips.
All right, folks, we're back with you, and I know you've heard of Beethoven and Bach, but I have got a man here that I'm going to put in that same list, an American composer. He has got scores of film and television music. I know you've heard it from Nightmare on Elm Street, Cujo. The list goes right on down the line. I'd like to welcome Charles Bernstein. How are you?
Hi there, Stephen. Great to be with you.
Man, I'll tell you what, I guarantee it. Now, you have been in the music business, or the film business and music, I guess, since the late 60s, early 70s?
That is correct. Long time.
So what was some of the first movies that you started out doing this?
Well, early on, I was lucky enough to get on a Burt Reynolds movie back in the 70s.
Right.
And that kind of validated me. It was a movie called White Lightning, and then Burt did a sequel to that where he actually directed as well as starred in, and he asked me to compose. That was back in, first one was in 1973, and the Gator was in 75, I think. So, yeah, it goes back, but I kind of got my start, as fate would have it, in doing some stories that were kind of in your neck of the woods, kind of down in Georgia and those areas, movies set in that area with Burt Reynolds.
But I'm going to tell you that, that White Lightning, I love that movie, and I love the music in the movie, and I think the music actually made it. And that's the thing about it. A lot of folks, all the movies that you have put music in, and music, to me, in a movie can make it or break it.
That's so true. And so few people realize it. You know what I mean? Music is sort of like wallpaper. It's there. They're not really paying attention to it, but it does affect your mood. It kind of affects how you're responding to the movie. It's working on you. You know what I mean?
Oh, just like Cujo. You had the dog, and if you put it in silence, it's not scary at all. But when you turn it up and you can hear the the music that's playing, and it hypes you up, and then the dog jumps in the window or whatever he does, it scares you to death. But
it's funny in Cujo. We think of it as one dog, but in the making of the movie, there were like 9 dogs,
right.
A man in a dog suit, a mechanical dog. They had like a bunch of ways of doing Cujo because they had to get the dog to do all these crazy, dangerous things. So, there's this artificialness about movies.
Right.
It's a fake out,
Mm-hmm.
and music kind of helps in that fake out action.
Well, now, how do you watch the movies silently and then say, okay, I need to put this here and there? How do you go about doing that? I mean, to me, I don't think I could ever do that.
Well, it's a weird profession that I kind of found myself in. When I see the movie, there's either no music in it, so I have to imagine like what would be the most helpful.
Right.
Or worse, they put temporary music in there from other movies, which is real hazardous for a composer because the director sometimes falls in love. You know how repetition creates love in a way.
Oh, yeah.
They see and hear it day after day, and then when I write some new music, they're so in love with that stuff they put in temporarily that nothing sounds good. So there is that problem, too.
Well, that's just like Smokey and the Bandit. That's another Burt Reynolds movie, but
That's
they
right.
fought to have the soundtrack for Smokey and the Bandit. They just wanted to change it completely, and I think they would have ruined the whole movie.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, But as you pointed out, Stephen, you're a musician,
Right.
you're a singer, and so you know.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, who are not musicians, they're not kind of tuned in to even be aware that there's music there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's just. Now, let me ask you another question. I'm interested in. When you do this, do you play all the instruments, or do you have people come in and do that? I mean, it's like in White Lightning. I mean, you had a dobro. I mean, you had all kinds of juice harps. I call them juice harps.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, all of that. In that case, I couldn't do that. I hired a wonderful dobro player.
Right.
And I think, now that I think of it, I had a mandolin player that might have been from Georgia.
Right.
These were guys that learned, I had to real quickly acquaint myself with how great bluegrass music is.
Right.
And banjo picking and mandolin and dobro. And the only guys who can play those instruments right are the guys who learned it kind of from one guy to the next.
Right.
And so the musicians that played on those sessions for me were the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other side of that coin, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Freddy Krueger movie, we didn't have enough budget to be hiring guys, and there was no regional or expertise that I needed to get in the musicians. Excuse me. So I played all the instruments myself on A Nightmare on Elm Street. Generally, what we do is we write the music and then hire an orchestra or an ensemble of some kind to play it.
Right.
I don't have the skills to do most of that, but Nightmare on Elm Street, I didn't have any choice, so I had to play everything and sing everything and kind of do that as a one-man band.
Right. Well, you talk about that. That's funny. These bluegrass players, I'd say 99% of them can't read music. It's all by ear or by heart's what I call it.
It's funny you mention that, Stephen. Actually, the players on White Lightning, the dobro player, a wonderful fiddle player named Byron Berline, a great country fiddle player. Byron could read a bit, but a lot of those guys couldn't. And I had a kind of a Hollywood orchestra there with these guys. Mm-hmm. So what I worked out is we planned what they were going to do musically, and then I would point at them and hold up one or two or three fingers. Depending on which finger I hold up and which guy I point at, they would play a certain thing that we decided on, rather than having it written down and reading it. So I had kind of a little special way of communicating with those bluegrass players that weren't actually reading.
Well, now, are you still doing it today? Have you retired? I mean, I know you got a couple of books out that you've wrote, but are you retired now?
I'm an old guy, but I'm still working. Yeah, I do a lot of documentaries and occasional television movies and certain things that come up. But the new technology is such that it's much easier now for composers to not have to. We can work more quickly and on smaller budgets, and everything is digital and electronic. So, so I'm still in the game and trudging along here.
Well, keep on going. I think, man, when you quit, you die. That's the way I look at it.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I guarantee you. When it comes to music, I don't think that's something that you can quit on. And, one thing that I thought was really interesting, and, of course, my mother played piano, and that's when I was a kid, and that's kind of the way I got started in it. But, people that have Alzheimer's or dementia, they can still remember the words and sing the songs when they cannot remember their own name. I always thought that's pretty deep.
That is deep. And, before we finish up, I just want to say I heard you sing the song that I wrote for that Burt Reynolds movie, that you covered that song.
Right.
And I heard that, and I got to say it made me so appreciative of your performance, but also just of how important it is for someone like you. I write the music, it's just notes on a page. There's no breath in it, there's no life in it. And it takes a living, breathing artist to come in and bring it to life, to animate it. And I was really reminded of that, and I was so grateful. So I want to say that
Well,
to your listeners.
that means a lot coming from you, I'll guarantee it. And that song was called Way Down Under. And I think it wasn't but a minute and 28 seconds long, so we had to add to it a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. No, that's right. It was just long enough to do what it had to do in the movie. But, yeah. No, you just gave it so much soul, and I had tears in my eyes. I said, "Oh man, this is good. I'm so happy."
Well, I appreciate that. I'll guarantee it. Now, you've got your books. How long you've had your books out for a while? But what do they call?
Well, I'm going to do a new one, which is all of. I tend to write these articles about movie music, and I've been doing it for 30 years or so. So I'm going to put those all together into one book.
Right.
And hopefully in the next year or so I can get that out there, and people who are interested in reading about, the quirkiness of writing music for movies can maybe enjoy it. So that's yet to come.
I love it. I guarantee it. I know there are a lot of digital stuff and a lot of people doing their own thing, as far as putting the music in movies. But when you have somebody like you that can feel it and can see it, that makes a big difference. I've watched a lot of movies, and it really changed, I think, back when, what was it, Miami Vice, they put a lot of the pop music and stuff like that in. I think that changed a lot of that, but still,
That's right. That was a turning point for a lot of TV music. It moved more toward that sound that started to come in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, now, actually, there is on the White Lightning, there is a record, you released a record on that or a soundtrack on that?
Yeah. Finally we did that. That's how Quentin Tarantino kind of ended up using some of that music in his movies. He borrowed some of the music I did for White Lightning and The Entity and so forth. And it came from CD that was put out by Intrada, INTRD, Intrada, ERA Records, and they did release a White Lightning, and it has a song on it, has the big orchestra stuff and the stuff that mixes the orchestra with the dobro and fiddle and all that. Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm going to be guilty here. I actually own that, and
there aren't too many of them, Stephen.
Yeah,
you got a rarity there.
Yeah, but I've got it downloaded on my my iPhone where I can listen to it. But I can say I've actually got about 3 speeding tickets listening to a couple of them songs that you got. Cause
maybe that's because Burt Reynolds was speeding in most of the
in that movie. It gives you want to go faster. I guarantee you that. Right. So. But anyway, I love all of that, and this is to me, it's very interesting. We've been around the movies a little bit in North Georgia. A lot of people are shooting movies in this area.
That's right.
And it's boring. I know everybody likes to think of the I don't know, the romance of being a movie star, but golly, I thought, God, this is a long day sitting out here just reshooting. But
yeah.
But
when it's all cut together, it looks quick. But the process is a snail's pace.
Yeah, you ain't kidding about that. Now, if these people are listening out here and they'd like to find you or get up with you, do you have a website or someplace they can go to?
Yeah, I do, but that's about all I have.
That's all you need.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of social media. I don't pay much attention to that area. And I have a website, it's just my name, .com.
Right.
And, but one of these days maybe I'll enter the 21st century. We'll see.
If you got a website, you're good to go. I guarantee it. Yep.
Yeah, I figure that's enough to at least put info out when need be.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm going to tell you, it has been an honor to get to talk to you, and especially you bragging on your song that I done. And
absolutely,
yeah.
Stephen. I'm very grateful for that.
Yep.
And I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today and to speak to your listeners.
Well, I want to get you back on here when something else comes up, your book comes out, or anything like that you've got going on. You've got my information. Just send me out and let me know, and I'll be more than happy to get you on the radio, and we can announce it out here. Maybe we can sell a few books.
That's great, Stephen. I appreciate it.
And big fan, and thank you so much.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate it a lot, and stay well, be well, and stay working, Just keep singing.
There you go.
Okay, man.
Thank you for listening. This is Stephen Phillips, host of The Morning Dish. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel because we have a lot more interviews out there to listen to. Plus, you can listen online every morning at WJULradio.com or Lake 97.7 WJUL. And give us a like on our Facebook page, The Morning Dish.